Hi Year 8, this is a quick video to talk you through your homework for this week. There are two parts to this homework. Part 1 is the larger part where you will need to choose your own version of a prologue and then write your prologue for me, so you get the chance to be a bit creative. And then the second part is some spellings that I'd like you to learn for next week. So I'd like you to choose one of the 4 following settings for a prologue of a Gothic novel. Now obviously this is a fictitious story that doesn't exist yet, so you're going to create your own setting, which will then obviously dictate where the story will go. So the first example we've got is, can you create a prologue set in a barren or hostile desert? So for this you'd want to think about the hostile and punishing weather, maybe the colour of the sand dunes and how vast they are, the party that are travelling, so the people that are on a journey, what do they look like? Do you hear a mysterious noise in the distance? Do you see something beyond one of the sand dunes that gets you intrigued or maybe disturbs you? Remember, this is a Gothic novel, so although we're in a desert, we're going to be looking for something that's darker and more sinister. I always think deserts we associate with light, even though they're hostile places. Your second option is to choose a prologue set outside an old and rotting house. So we've got an image here of quite a spooky looking building. We will obviously want to talk about the appearance of the house. Maybe there's certain sounds, or maybe there's an odour or a smell that's coming from it. What's the garden like that surrounds it, or the setting that the house is in? How do you feel as you're stood there? And then, are there any strange noises that you hear as you turn the doorknob to enter the house? Or maybe in your prologue you don't get to that point, but you set foot on the step and there's a creak or something happens. You might see a flash of light coming from inside, or a shadow dart past the window. Maybe you see some curtains flutter. There's lots of options you could choose with this one. If you're unsure of how to do it, maybe just remember the prologues that we looked at for Frankenstein and also for Mortlock. So read through those extracts that you have in your book to give you an idea of the sort of things you might want to mention. You also have the option of setting your prologue in a graveyard, and there's listed what you would want to consider for that. And then also an eerie forest, and you can see again there's different things you can think about. So you need to choose one of these settings, either a graveyard, an eerie forest, a desert, or outside a spooky house, to be where your prologue starts. Now, for those of you that are interested in what a successful homework will look like, we've got quite a detailed set of success criteria notes here. So we've got information on the content that you'll use, so what you'll put in your prologues, how you'll organise and structure it. So have a read through those. I don't want you to discuss with the person next to you because obviously you're at home, but this might just give, for those of you that are pushing what you're able to do and really challenging yourself, I recommend that you read through your success criteria, which will give you an idea of what I'll be looking for when I read through them. So this summarises what I'd like you to do. So you have the chance to create your own prologue based on the image and ideas from your chosen challenge. So your chosen challenge will be either the graveyard, the eerie forest, the hostile desert, or the rotting house. And then make sure you deliberately shape your writing so that you can show your skills in the 5 areas that you've chosen in this. But I would say more, make sure that you shape your writing so it addresses each of the points under the think about section. So if you've chosen to set your work in the graveyard, ensure that you've described extremely cold weather or any other sort of weather situations that might be happening. So it could be cold, it could be very windy, you might hear trees blowing. Make sure that you've talked about the appearance of the gravestones and the graveyard itself. Is it a very well kept graveyard? Is it quite old, unkept, unloved? Are there any strange shadows that are cast by the trees or by some of the graveyards, the graveyards, gravestones and memorials that are there. And is there a gravestone that cracks open, or is there some disturbed earth, or something that is sinister, something that isn't normal? So you want to make sure that you address each of these 4 points for each setting to make sure that you have a successful piece of writing. So your first part of the homework is to create a prologue. Now, prologue is usually about half a side of A4, depending on which, half a side of A4 that on your chosen setting. So graveyard, eerie forest, desert, or rotting house. Then I would like you to have a look at these spellings and learn them. Now we're going to do a test on these next Monday. So that's when you will then be tested on these. So we have the word Frankenstein, prologue, Gothic, conventions, distinguished, agitation, observations, endeavouring, interval and benevolent. So those spellings you'll need to learn. I always think the look, cover, write, check tactic is quite good. If you were to do that 3 to 4 times for each spelling, maybe try and do it every day until next week, you'll definitely learn them. If not every day, every other day, and they should be embedded in your mind, ready for your test. So that is your homework. It is due in a week today, which takes us to Monday the 5th of October. Any questions, please let me know. I will attach the PowerPoint so you can read through the slides if you need to. Yeah, and also put this in an email. Wish you all the best. Thank you.